Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you guys some new dye techniques. They're not really new, I would say, just slightly more intricate, something interesting you might want to do. I didn't actually record the last two because I'd shown the techniques in previous videos, but I will still show the results. I'm going to go ahead and skip right quick to the showing you how I did the dyeing for Cheer Ruby and Cheer Poppy. I'm just gonna say I would rather get, I don't even know, a root canal than use human hair dye again if I don't have to. I'm actually still going to for a future doll if that package I'm waiting on ever shows up. But otherwise, like it takes way too long. It's just so messy compared to using Rit dye. I mean, for the folks in other countries who don't have Rit dye or don't have easy access to it, human hair dye is, it is what it is, but it just takes way too long. Like, nobody wants to wait 6 hours and have that mess sitting around their bathroom hoping somebody doesn't bump into it or, whatever. So anyway, I'm going to cut to that, show you guys the dye process. I didn't actually record myself washing their dye out, but it's basically just like a pump or two of the hand soap that was sitting in my bathroom, which is like Safeguard, whatever. I don't even know what kind it is, but so it's a pump or two of hand soap and just rinsing it out like you would normal hair dye, getting a little bit of lather and whatever. And so that's that. And then I'll walk you through how I did the two in the sink after I reveal those two. But here's the dyeing process for them. Alright guys, so we have our old stained towel. It has hair dye stains and tears and all kinds of stuff. It's just a ratty old towel that we don't need for anything else. We've got an old ratty comb that we're going to use to separate their hair and possibly like comb the dye through. We have our inexpensive human hair dye. This is Revlon number 12 natural blue black, and it runs you about $3 at Walmart here in the US. We have the dolls we're going to dye as well as the plans to dye them. We have our old stained hair dye bowl, brushes to brush the dye in, and some reusable latex gloves. Now, I will say that these do come with gloves, but they're very cheap and very thin, so I usually don't use them if I use gloves at all. But what we're going to do is we're going to open this, we are going to take everything out, and we're going to mix it in the bowl exactly as it tells us to, following the instructions that come in the box. After that, we will start brushing the dye in. Okay guys, real quick, just to talk about one or two more things I did during my setup before we apply the dye. So for Ruby, because she's getting checkerboard hair, I decided that I wanted to have this side red at the top, this side black at the top. And so this side will have black at the bottom, this side will have red at the bottom. In order to separate them so I remember which is which, the side that's staying red got a rubber band at the top. And then for Cheer Poppy, I just kind of wrapped the side that isn't getting black on it and her in an old, like a shower cap. And then this is the side that's getting dyed. I might actually just wrap a shower cap around Ruby's lower half. You can also take Vaseline and put it around their hairline if you're afraid of getting stains. I keep like these guys on hand, just some old like makeup wipes. Like these are Walmart, like I think they're like $3 or $4 makeup wipes. And I would go ahead and have at least one out just in case. That way if something goes sloppy, you can wipe it off super quick. It shouldn't stain. Also, I changed into some plain black clothes that won't matter if I get black dye on them. I've got my dye mixed. I'm going to go ahead and start painting it on. What you want to do is almost kind of go in layers. Now, I've already separated their hair down the middle, and it's weird because they don't necessarily have a middle part. So you just kind of have to use your best judgment. But when dyeing, I would like pull the front half up and then do the back hair and then the next layer and then the next layer in order to make sure that you get it all. I kind of can't hold my phone while painting it on. I got a new tripod, but I didn't bring it in here with me because like I'm trying to hurry. So give me just a second. Okay guys, I ran and got my new tripod anyway because for some people, like just listening to instructions makes it still really hard to follow, but having a visual makes it easier. And I feel like if I can do this where you guys can see it and make it easier for you, then that's definitely what I want to do. All right, So like I said with Poppy, I'm going to separate her hair, and I'm going to take, and you don't have to have a brush, like if you just want to use your gloved hands and be very careful, you can. Like I said, I don't always use gloves, but you probably should, let's be honest. So my hair dye is already mixed, it's ready to go, and I'm just going to be brushing it on. I am probably going to put my gloves on just to really go in and rub this in really well and make sure that it gets through all of the layers. So now that you've kind of seen how I go in and brush it in, when I'm done with this layer, I'll go in with the next and so on. I'm going to throw my gloves on right quick and really rub this in, so give me just a second. Okay, now that I've got my glove on, one of the other things I want to say is, while you've got this section of hair up, make sure that you get around the baseline of her neck. And I'll do a better visual on this in just a second once I've done dabbing it. But you want to be really careful not to cross over where you've got your shower cap at. And of course, keep your wipe in case you get any on her neck. Keep it close, but I'm just gonna like dab a finger in and kind of dab it along where I want my half line to be. You can see, so that's a thing. And it's kind of weird, like you kind of have to be careful how you move her around, like maneuver her. But you also just want to be really careful because you don't want to end up accidentally touching your doll with your gloved hand. So we're going to keep going around that neckline, around the ears, just kind of dab it in. You can even use just the corner of your brush if you want. If you get any on her skin, make sure to stop right away and wipe it with a wipe. It shouldn't, and I haven't had it do it before, stain right away, like if you get it right away, but the potential is always there. So the Vaseline trick, I am told, works. I have Vaseline at home. I don't even tend to do it myself because I haven't had an issue with staining, but for safety's sake, it probably is the smarter way to go about it. So I'm going to pause this real quick and finish getting this in her hair, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I had to take a break for a second just because it was my husband's lunch break, and I usually spend that chatting with him, like texting. Now, I will say that one of the things is right now, because I'm in the bathroom, my water heater's going, so you're probably hearing a bit of that. One of the reasons I don't like wearing gloves is if I have my bare hands, I can see where dye is and be careful not to touch my doll with that part of my hand. So that's a thing too. Now, I did finish Poppy. I'm going to bring you over here so you can see her. And you can tell her hair is starting to turn black. Now, there were some smudges, and I tried to wipe them off, but they kind of just made it worse. But I don't think it really matters because she doesn't have a part line to begin with. So if there's a little black in the orange, like I'm not, or a little orange in the black for that matter, I don't think I'm going to freak out about it. Which normally I'm such a perfectionist, like bet I certainly would. But when I had this started Ruby, I decided where on her hair that I wanted to start or end the streaks. Now, one of the things with this, as you're doing the front and the back and rubbing all the dye in between, make sure that you don't do a straight across line with the brush. You want to kind of, and I'll do it on this side so you can see it since we're going to start up around the same place that that one starts down, is you want to hold your brush like this and brush in so that you have like streaks where the red and the black blend versus a straight across line, which is very, very harsh looking. You wouldn't want that in your real hair. You would want that softer gradient, and same goes for your doll hair, I'm betting. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to, when you get to the part where it's supposed to meet the black and the red, sorry, it gets stuck on the hair sometimes, you just want to brush up and down like this, just to kind of blend it in different streaks, okay? So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and do a little more on this, because you definitely don't want it to be a straight across line. That just looks so terrible when it happens in real life to your hair. It's going to look terrible if you do that in your doll hair. Alright guys, so again, keep your wet rag on. If it even like flicks a little spot, you want to get it off immediately, and it shouldn't stain. I haven't had any problems with it doing it in the past. I'm glad I laid an extra towel down because this is hugely messy. So just keep that in mind, especially because I'm doing this on top of like a really nice washer and dryer. I really don't want to get dye on it. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to brush this in the same way I did with poppies, very carefully around the front rooting area. If you happen to get the dye on your doll's skin and you need to like wipe it off, make sure that you kind of just like either fold your rag or whatever and take it in the edge around very carefully, because you don't want to end up accidentally wiping the dye back out of your doll's hair. Now, since human hair dye, as we explored in an earlier video, does leach a little bit, it might not make a difference if you like accidentally dab against the hairline, but because it would be such a pain in the butt to re-dye after you've done this and you'd have to go buy more dye, etc., it's probably better to just err on the side of caution. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in her hair right quick, and I need to move my tripod in order to do that. So I will rejoin you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so like I said, I just washed them out with some hand soap. Nothing super serious. I don't actually have them in their cheer outfits right now, but they will be listed for sale in their cheer outfits. Actually, only one of them will, because at the time of recording this, I had posted some like preview photos on my Instagram, and one of them already sold. One of them had serious inquiries. Actually, so did another one, but I ended up deciding to keep two of them. So there is one left that is up for sale currently in her cheer outfit, but we'll get to that in a minute. So first of all, the one who is heading out today for a brand new home, and not in the outfit I'm about to show her in, but I put her in this because I wanted to do photos of her. But we have Cheer Poppy. So as you can see, she has a really nice even split dye. It turned out really, really good. The black took really well. I actually only left it in for like 2 hours because I got impatient and needed to move it out of the way. And I was like, well, you know what? If it's not dark enough, I'll go over it with the Rit. Actually, unlike all the other human dyes I've used, the black took really well and got dark really fast. Because at 2 hours, I was expecting like medium brown, but no, it's black. So there is that. She turned out really cute. It was fun to do a split dye. You know, for a very long time, I had split dye hair myself. I've even actually done the half black, half orange, but honestly, any more bleaching and my hair will probably fall out. So I decided on Mother's Day this year, since I am 40 now, to just go ahead and let the gray grow in and do its thing and quit messing with it. But dyeing doll hair totally still gives me that same satisfaction as when I was dyeing my own hair a lot. So yeah, she turned out really, really cute. Super happy with her. Glad that somebody loves her and that she's going to a good new home. So next up is one that the person who bought Poppy was originally interested in her, but then couldn't justify another Cheer Ruby, which I get, because you guys, I have like, most of the dolls have at least 3 to 4 of the same ones. I don't even know at this point. I had to clear off a whole new shelf, moving dolls around just to make room for whenever Series 3 comes out this summer. I know we're all excited about that. I can't wait to see more pictures of them besides the drawings we've seen. But yeah, so I ended up actually falling in love with this one and deciding to keep her. So I was really actually happy when the other person decided that, you know, they didn't want her after all, because I was going to go through and just buy another Cheer Ruby and do it again. I'm super glad I don't have to. But here's how she turned out with her checkerboard hair. And it's really funny because there's actually a super pretty girl, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I'll link her Instagram down below, who commented on my pictures of Cheer Ruby and mentioned that she had the exact same hair. Now, well, hers wasn't crimped, but it's done in the same checkerboard style, which I thought was honestly super cool. So you guys should check her out because she's really, really gorgeous, and it's really cool to see a human with this hair. So yeah, it turned out really cool. I'm super in love with it. Definitely going to be keeping her, and I'll actually probably be keeping her in this and then selling off her cheer stock because I definitely don't need that again. But yeah, so she came out really great. I'm kind of in love. The other two dolls I did Sync Method. You guys have seen all of my videos previously on Sync Method. It's super easy. You just add, you know, your Rit All Purpose dye. You can use Dye More, but Dye More really requires that higher heat. And it has a higher risk of staining, so you would have to do it in the pot method on the stove. And, you know, so these both were done Sync Method. I didn't have to heat up water on the stove. I didn't have to risk staining. The Rit dye in the sink, like, I mean, if you left it in there for hours and hours, it might stain. But for the anywhere from, you know, 5 to 20 minutes that a normal doll would take in the Sync Method, you don't have to worry about staining. Like, I've never, ever even had a remote hint of it using the Sync Method. So The first one I did, it's a split dye. It's very much the same method that we did split dye poppy in that you saw earlier in this video. I did the center part. I took the one half up in a ponytail holder while I dyed the other half, and then switched that. So I ended up, originally I was going to do this pink and purple dye for Cheer Violet that you guys had saw in the last video that I'd planned on doing. Okay, so look, I've had fuchsia, I've had petal pink, both came out way too dark for me. I tried rose quartz by Rit because it looked like a much lighter color dye, but honestly, it's a bit orangey. It's very much like, oh, let me see if I can grab her. So this is my Flora. If you're into Animal Crossing, like, hopefully you know of Flora. She's a perfect little heart-faced flamingo. She's my favorite villager of all time. I got her really early on in the game, and I ended up swapping her at some point to get her, like, actual house. Because, you know, like, the first few don't have their real house. They have, like, a stand-in house. But anyway, so yeah. So the rose quartz was kind of this color. It was that very, like, orangey pink. Almost like not quite a coral. It wasn't even pink enough to be a coral, actually. It was very strange. It wasn't what I expected based on the bottle of Rit. So that's the thing, like, I don't know. And it could have just been because Violet, but I mean, it was taking in the silver part of her hair, like a really off color, all of it. I didn't love it. So I ended up swapping to wanting to do purple and blue. And you've seen, like, I have a Cheer Violet who's been, you know, dyed violet. And actually, hers was stove method, and the sink method came out not too different, if I remember correctly. It was stove method? I don't know. But anyway, so I ended up doing the half violet color, and this is actually the teal from Rit Dye. The aquamarine is actually more of a teal than the teal most cases. But yeah, so she got a split dye. She tried on this Barbie coat, but for sale purposes, she will be in her full Cheer stock. Like I said, she's up on my Instagram now, if she hasn't sold already. At the time of recording, she hasn't. At the time of posting, who knows. But feel free to check it out for her. She came out super cute. I mean, her dye came out, like, really even. And, like, this was all sink method. Like, there was no heat. These colors still came out super vibrant. And it took me all of, like, maybe 6 minutes to do all of that, both sides. Now, the next one actually took a little longer. It is a method that if you've watched my previous videos, you will recognize. If you haven't watched my previous videos, I'll link the one for this specific method down below. And basically, it's the same as the sink dip dye method. You just put the Rit dye in the sink along with your vinegar and your salt or whatever on the hottest tap water you can get. And then I didn't even really section off any hair. Like, I just kind of held it in my hand. But, like, I would take, like, the pink sections of Kaya's hair, and I would take, like, one section here, and maybe one over here, and one on the other side, and dip them, and then pull them up, put in a different color in the sink, put in, you know, a couple of other different pieces of hair, dye that color. So it is still the same dip dye method. It's just kind of, like, section by section. You know, so it does take longer because you have to wash the sink out, put fresh water in, put fresh dye and vinegar in, dip it, wash the sink out, put fresh hot water in, put the vinegar and salt in, you know, so on and so forth. And I actually have her in a, like, a LOL OMG Sweets outfit right now. I don't know if it'll be a permanent outfit. I had it laying around and I wanted to try it on her. The response to her was super positive, both on Facebook and Instagram. And I had someone who very much wanted to buy her. And I did consider it for about a minute, but honestly, I'm kind of in love with her. So, you know, if that person, you know, I'm going to talk to them and see if they want to do a commissioned one. But I'm actually going to keep this one because I kind of love her. So Kaya already had, like, the rainbow colors underneath the light pink in her hair. And usually they're kind of, like, plugged in the center, and then all around the outside is, like, the light, soft, fluffy pink. So I did leave those strands, but then I also dip dyed all of the other, like, the light pink strands. I mean, I left, like, a few of them so I'd have that color in there. But yeah, so everything is just dip dyed. I mean, I kind of did her bangs lavender, just because I did, like, her roots in that section that way. But as you can tell, like, it's different colors for all the way around. And so yeah, like, I'll definitely link to this method because it is a little more complicated, only in that you have to repeatedly put in new different dye colors every couple of strands of hair. So, you know, that was the thing. But otherwise, I say she took all of 20 minutes, even with all of that. And I did, like, a lemon yellow. I did Kelly green, but in the sink method. If you don't leave it in too long, it comes out kind of like a soft, like, apple green at best, or like almost, I wouldn't say minty, but yeah, it comes with like a soft apple green, similar to what she already has in her hair. So, and then I did like teal, a regular purple, which comes out lavender in the sink method if you don't leave it in too long. And I think I did, I don't know, I think I did a pink, like a darker pink too. But yeah, so it's just dip strand by strand, nothing serious. I have considered giving her different eyes. I might actually, I don't know. I was going to swap her and Poppy's eyes, but since Poppy's going to a new home and so is Violet, actually I think I have a pair of Poppy eyes, or maybe they're my eyes, laying in a drawer somewhere. But other than that, they're pretty much finished. You guys have gotten to see, you know, what those are. Next week will actually be the LOL OMG like dolls that I've shown you in a previous video. I am actually still unbraiding Swag's hair. She came to me with her hair almost entirely unbraided up to about here, but those braids are so tiny that trying to get like the rest of them out is really tedious. But she should be ready like soon, and next week I'll probably post that video. You know, like I said, I'm still waiting on that big package. It's still sitting in a post office parking lot. Hopefully it will come soon, and we will have even more dyeing adventures, because I actually have really like a bit more complicated dyes for most of those dolls. So of course, like, I'm super anxious for them to come, but it's one of those things where you gotta wait it out. Anyway, so if you guys liked this video, if you want to see more videos, you know, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, all that stuff, and join me again next week. Until then, check out my Instagram. There's doll stuff on sale. There's tons of doll pictures, doll news as it comes out. Just a ton of different stuff. You can always message me on there as well if you have questions, or you want to show me pictures of your dolls, if you followed my tutorials or dyed something because you saw one of my videos and you were inspired. Tag me, because I would super duper love to see it. I will see you guys next week.